You know what they say. Like father, like son. Aww. If that wasn't enough to get your midichlorians pumping, I don't know what is. We have the season finale of The Mandalorian, and along with it, brand new theories on where the show is headed, as well as a post-credit sequence revealing a show that wasn't even announced at Star Wars Investors Day.
Shut up and take my money!
So make sure to like and subscribe and stick around till the end of the episode, because we'll be talking about what's going on with Ahsoka Tano, Moff Gideon, and what Mando's acquiring of the dark saber could mean for Season 3. Now let's get into it. Chapter 16, the last of Season 2, is directed by Peyton Reed, the same director as Chapter 10 and Marvel's Ant-Man, and fittingly enough it's called The Rescue, as Mando and the team prepare to capture Grogu after successfully acquiring Moff Gideon's coordinates. But you can't just go up to an Imperial cruiser willy-nilly, they need a plan. It's never explained in the show how this happens, but Boba and the Slave One have tracked down Dr. Pershing, being escorted in an Imperial shuttle. We've seen these ships before in the Star Wars universe, and Palpatine also gets off one in Return of the Jedi. It's possible that Pershing is being escorted away from Moff Gideon here, as we find out later in the episode, Moff no longer needs Grogu. He's got what he wanted in the form of his blood. Holding the crew hostage, one of the Imperial pilots refers to Cara as a dropper, which is just another word for a shock trooper, which is exactly what she used to be. The pilot was also on the original Death Star from A New Hope, as he mentioned he was there during the destruction of Alderaan, Kara's home planet.
Destroying your planet was a small price to pay to rid the galaxy of terrorism.
It really harkens back to what last episode was trying to say, that no matter what side you're on, you'll either be painted as a freedom fighter or a terrorist. In order to spring Grogu, Mando is going to need some muscle, which is why he tracks down Bo-Katan and Koska, who we previously met in Chapter 11. No mention is made of where their other partner, Axe Woves, is. In exchange for their help, Bo wants a lot. She wants Boba's Slave One in their effort to retake Mandalore, Moff's dark saber, which can cut through anything but pure Beskar, and for Mando to reconsider joining their efforts, all of which he agrees to. This is all part of what I think the main storyline of Season 3 will be, and I'll get to that in a bit. During this not-so-peaceful bargaining, Boba and Koska get in a tussle mainly over what it means to be Mandalorian. Bo and Koska don't think Boba is a real Mandalorian.
You are not a Mandalorian.
He's a clone of Jango Fett after all, but for Mando himself, this has been his major character arc this season. Whereas in Season 1, Mando went from solo bounty hunter wanting nothing to do with the kid to willing to sacrifice his life for him, Season 2 sees Mando's arc take shape in a different form that centers around his beliefs in the Mandalorian code. In Chapter 11, for example, he tells Bo she's not a real Mandalorian because she takes off her helmet, something he'll end up doing so that Grogu can take one final look at him before they separate. Mando is learning to put his feelings towards others above what Bo would call a fanatical code indoctrinated in Mando as a child. So the plan they come up with is quite simple: create a diversion so that Mando can sneak in and retrieve the child. When all is said and done, they'll reconvene on that Imperial bridge. So they use the Lambda Imperial shuttle and Boba's Slave One to trick the Imperial cruiser in letting them land. The only problem is they have to be quick. Once they're discovered, Moff Gideon will unleash his third-generation Dark Troopers, and these guys are no joke. The shuttle crash lands in the launch tube, and that's the last we'll see of Boba Fett this episode, well, until we get to that post-credit scene. More on that in a bit. Team 1, comprised of Fennec Shand, Cara Dune, Bo-Katan, and Koska, make quick work of the stormtroopers as they make their way to the bridge and provide Mando with a distraction. Bonus points if you caught this RA-7 protocol droid like the one seen in A New Hope. In the nick of time, Mando is able to stop the Dark Troopers from entering the main hallway. Well, all but one, and we get to see just how powerful these droids are, literally bashing Mando's Beskar steel helm into the side of the hall. He's gonna need some Tylenol after that. Blaster shots, fire, and even his whistling bird salvo barely faze the Dark Trooper, and this is just one. Imagine a platoon of them. Mando is tossed around like a rag doll, but the only thing that seems to stop the Dark Trooper is Mando's pure Beskar steel spear he obtained in Chapter 13 that formerly belonged to Magistrate Morgan Morgan Elsbeth on Corvus, a spear he was rewarded for helping Ahsoka Tano in liberating the people of KATAN. While the other team makes quick work of commandeering the bridge, Mando finds Moff Gideon holding Grogu hostage. Again, this theme of who is good and who is evil is echoed by Gideon, who says that Mando and his team have already butchered dozens of his men. So who really is the bad guy here? Moff Gideon tells Mando that the child has rare properties that have the potential to bring order back to the galaxy, but that he no longer needs him because he has his blood. He also talks about the Darksaber and that whomever wields it has the right to lay claim to the Mandalorian throne. And I'll get to this in a bit, but this is what I think Season 3 will focus on. Moff agrees to let the child go as long as Mando leaves the ship, but this agreement is short-lived as Moff Gideon attacks Mando from behind, engaging in a battle that demonstrates the power of the saber as it cuts through the steel frame of the ship. Mando, however, ends up besting Moff Gideon and bringing him to Bo-Katan at the bridge. It's here that it's revealed that Mando can't simply hand over the saber, the one thing Bo-Katan wants more than anything else.
In order for her to wield the Darksaber again, she would need to defeat you in combat.
If Bo-Katan is going to take her place as ruler of Mandalore, she must obtain the Darksaber through combat. But before the issue can be settled, the team is notified of the impending Dark Troopers. Yeah, the ones that got swept out the airlock are on their way back, and Moff Gideon is like,
You had your hands full with one. Let's see how you do against a platoon.
This platoon of Dark Troopers quickly makes their way to the bridge blast doors, pummeling their way through when another unexpected visitor in an X-Wing boards the cruiser. Donning his iconic cape and green lightsaber, it's none other than Luke Skywalker, who you could probably guess before his face reveal by his one glove-covered robotic hand. His entrance on the cruiser is just like how his father tore through the rebel ship in Rogue One. Luke cuts through the Dark Troopers like butter, and the strength of the Force can be seen as he force crushes one of the Dark Troopers' powerful armor. Luke's arrival pretty much confirms that he was the person Grogu was communicating with on Tython. Grogu even reaches out to him through the security cameras, and we know that the Force can be used to communicate with others, and masters of it can even astral project. Luke has arrived to take the child and train him.
He is strong with the Force, but talent without training is nothing.
Mando takes off his helmet, something that he would normally never do, for one last tearful goodbye, saying that he'll one day see him again. And as far as I know, this is the first time he's ever let someone else touch his face. Luke picks up Grogu, taking him away to begin their training. We even get a little R2-D2 cameo. Luke's X-Wing here I can't help but think is the same one that will eventually end up submerged on Ahch-To. But all of this raises the question, what happens between now and Luke's training of Kylo Ren? Remember that Master Yoda's dying wish was for Luke to train a new generation of Jedi, and Grogu would have been his first apprentice before Kylo Ren, since Luke didn't take Kylo in until he was 10 years old, and Kylo would have only been about 4 years old during the events of The Mandalorian. So we basically have 6 unaccounted for years where we don't know what happens. I also have a feeling that Season 3 won't focus on the child and his training with Luke, and there's a few reasons I have for this. One, there's only so much you can show of Luke training him at such a young age without it kinda looking goofy. I mean, it's cute as hell, but Grogu can barely walk. 2, the way this was shot with the music and everything really made it seem that this was a final departure, and it wouldn't be for a long time that we see Mando and the child reunited. 3, it's just damn expensive to CGI a young Luke Skywalker, plus I didn't find the de-aging that convincing. Like, it was passable, but if they were to focus on him as a storyline for Season 3, they'd have to spend way more time on it. But the biggest reason I think we won't see Grogu much next season is that they have set up a different storyline for Mando altogether, and that's him and the battle for Mandalore. I think that Season 3 will focus on taking back the planet and his eventual confrontation with Bo-Katan. We already know that they have differing views on what it means to be a Mandalorian, and apparently he just can't give it to her, the thing that gives one legitimacy to the throne without being defeated by her. And this defeat likely means to the death. Another thread that could be picked up on is Moff Gideon. The last we see of him is being knocked out by Cara Dune, who said she wanted him alive as he may have valuable info for the New Republic. We still don't know how far his experiments went with Grogu, and if his experiments with Dr. Pershing were given to someone else like Palpatine or Grand Admiral Thrawn. Speaking of Thrawn, there's the lingering question of Ahsoka Tano, who we now know is getting her own spin-off show. Many were wondering if Ahsoka would show up in this episode, but it looks like her story will pick up with her series that will focus on her hunting hunting down Thrawn. And speaking of spin-offs, we have our post-credit sequence. Welcome back to Jabba's palace, which we last saw in Return of the Jedi. Remember that Jabba has been dead for several years now after being killed by Leia, and it looks like Bib Fortuna, also from Return of the Jedi, has taken over as leader of what remains of the Hutt cartel. Bonus points if you overheard him say the word McClunky, the Huttese word Greedo says just before he's shot, which roughly translates to "this will be the end of you." Bib has also gained a few pounds in this time, but hey, I'm not here to body shame. Fennec Shand and Boba Fett arrive, having fulfilled their duty to Mando by reuniting him with the child. Boba kills Bib with a blaster shot and takes his place on the throne of Jabba's palace, setting us up for a new spin-off called The Book of Boba Fett. Now, this is a huge surprise. It wasn't even announced a few days prior at Disney's Investor Day with all the other new shows, but I can't help but think that this is what the former Star Wars Underworld TV series has kind of morphed into. So there you have it for Season 2, a very open-ended one, leaving the show with vast possibilities on where to go next. And even with the pandemic, Season 3 is apparently still on schedule for a late 2021 release. So get yourselves in cryo, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember,
I have spoken.